Hello everyone, I'm Alan, also known as McLaren 2009, and I'm back playing Derail Valley. So at the moment, I am currently up at the coal mine, and I am about to carry 2 loads of coal and 1 load of flat cars from here first to deliver the coal to the steel mill and the flat cars to the harbor. So let's start by setting up our locomotives. Let's get this out, pair this with this. Alright, we need electricity. We need to start the engine. And currently front to back. Remember that, it will be on the test. Alright. Now, we need to start by hooking up to this train right, or this cut of cars right here. So we gotta go forward. And we gotta go 2 tracks over. So we go past this switch, and we'll be lined up with that section. Alright, brakes, pop it into reverse. Now it's going to be interesting pulling out of here, because we're going to have to flip some switches so we don't mess things up going down the line. Because I don't come up here very often, so I don't need the things set up to come back up here. Alright, we're on the right track. Alright, let's set the independent. What is wrong with this picture? Something just doesn't look right. Alright, now let's go get the jobs. 35, 67. Alright, let's go over here to the office. Said 35 and 67, so that ought to be easy to find. Yep, right here. Never a dull moment. Alright, so this one's going to be interesting. Because I'm going to have to switch around to the complete opposite end of the train. And this one. At least they're going to the C track. Which is weird in and of itself, but that's a thing for another day. Alright, so we're connected to these. Now what's weird is, oh, you know what, that makes sense. 3 pickups to load these going to the steel mill. That might actually be a good place to shove the empty hopper. Because we got to get it out of the way. Alright, let's speed it up a little. Won't be much, but we'll speed it up a little bit. Especially since these are heavy. And we're going to be pushing the hell out of these 2 DE6s. Alright, what's up here? Okay, no idea. Something just like stopped it dead in the tracks. Alright, so we want these up front because they're bigger and heavier. But they weigh the same as those individually. It's just there's more of them, so I want to put this load up front. Whereas those are extremely light. So between these cars and those cars, there's literally no difference whatsoever. But there's a significant difference between those and the empties. Which we gotta get this out of the way anyway. Alright, switch is aligned to come this way. I guess realistically we could just shove that car on one of these. It'll despawn when we get out of here anyway, but at least that way I won't be putting it on what's clearly the runaround track. Yeah, because this one's labeled, that one isn't. It'd be better to put it on a storage track, but I'm not too worried about it. It is pretty cool to come up here to the coal mine, though, just because this is the closest in-game representation to the types of cars that I've worked on in real life. Now, as I talked about in my previous stream, the last couple cars that I worked on were triple hoppers, and these are quad hoppers. And they're set up a little bit different. At least the ones that I worked on are. You do see a lot of these in real life. It's just I've never personally worked on one. The ones that I worked on, they only have 3 chutes, and instead of the chute being like around the center sill, you would have the center sill, and then there would be a chute on the left and right side with a door that's like joined for both chutes, and then you pull a lever right here and pop it open. Okay, good news. 6 kilometers an hour does not break the car. But yeah, the ones that I'm used to just have 3 chutes, and they go down in one direction, and you have like a 45-degree angle door that you pop open right here, and then you swing it down so the coal can fly out the bottom. Just like this, except the difference is it's on either side of the center sill and not going around it. Let's go over here and look at this one real quick, because this one's empty. Yeah. So just like this, there would be an angled piece on top of the center sill so the coal drops down on either side. But instead of the door just being right there and being split in half by the center sill, there would be a chute on either side with a door that can be opened from either side of the car. But other than that, this is pretty much exactly like the types of cars that I've worked on in the past. Basically just literally thousands of these. Okay, what am I grabbing? Okay. But yeah, basically these cars end to end, and that's what I've worked on in real life. And then I've also worked on the kind of general purpose hopper cars that you see hauling scrap metal in this game. I've built those, and I've also built log cars. And then there are similar gondolas and hopper cars that you can see over at like the farm that are holding like grain and stuff like that. I've worked on those as well, but they're really similar to these. At least the ones that I've worked on. The ones that were specifically for like grain had these angled pieces on either end and like a set of like trusses. I don't really know how else to describe them, but like cross members that you could pull like a what basically amounts to a tarp end to end. Because we didn't have any of the covered ones, or at least not the ones that were like the rigid covered hoppers. We had ones that you had to put an external cover over it. It's kind of weird and hard to explain, but that's just what we had, or that's just what we built. I think the other one down in like Alabama or whatever, I think they could make the covered hoppers, but the factory I was in could not. And pretty much all the ones that I've worked on, they only came in gray. Didn't matter what company it was being built for, they pretty much only came in gray. Except the triple hoppers, they came in black. But working on these types of cars specifically was kind of cool because it was the first time I ever worked around stainless steel. Like the hybrid gondola cars that were like these, but instead of being able to be unloaded from the bottom, they just had like these little chutes on the bottom that were just completely sealed, and you had to like either scoop out the coal or pick up the entire car off the trucks and just flip it over to unload it. And it was interesting because the walls were aluminum, but the frame and these vertical beams were steel. Whereas when I was working on the triple hoppers that were pretty much only coal cars, pretty much everything that was welded was stainless steel. Now, you could make the argument that it's clearly not very good stainless steel if it was rusting. So my running theory was we got like the bad stainless that just has enough chromium to be called stainless steel, but not actually enough of it to be the to have the full properties of stainless steel. So it has the hardness, but not the corrosion resistance. It's weird and hard to explain. Alright, so we gotta take this, flip that over there. And we had to power through something. Alright, let's turn that up a little bit farther. Release that. Alright, so basically, in theory, we can grab this hopper and put it on one of the outbound tracks. It's not where you're supposed to put it, but the other cars on that load are way over there, and since I'm not doing that job, I just don't want to deal with it right now. Like, the only reason that I would intentionally do that is if I needed more loads going to the steel mill. But the problem is these two that we've got are already heavy enough, and then tacking on another 4 cars, it's just not worth it. Like, these are already going to be heavy enough as it is, so I'm not even going to bother with that. This load is more than enough for what I'm currently trying to do. So all I got to do is just get this car out of the way. Because I don't even want this car, I want these cars. Although what makes it weird is when I brought those up here, those are on flat cars that came from the machine factory. Yet these flat cars aren't going to the machine factory, they're going to the harbor. What in the world are we bringing from the harbor here? Like, why is this logistics haul going back to the harbor? Like, even in like real life, when you think of logistics jobs, you want to get your empty It's like you want to get the empties back to the people that need them. So you would generally send them back to a company or industry that needs that car or trailer, whatever it is, so that they can fill it again and send it back up here. So in theory, the people that manage the mine would probably just want to send the flat cars back to where they can be loaded with cargo coming back to the mine. Like, I have not seen anything at the harbor going to the coal mine. At least nothing in containers. It's weird, I guess. Alright. Now, we don't have... It's like we have it lined up not to the inbound track, but to the outbound track. So more than likely, what would happen with our hypothetical AI yard workers, this car would be coupled to those cars over there, and then after they get loaded, they get dumped onto one of these outbound tracks. That's not really justifying why I'm choosing to put the empty on the outbound track, but it gets it out of the way, and it's not on a runaround track. Realistically, I know very well the thing's just going to despawn when I leave here anyway, but it's good to at least pretend we care about our imaginary yard workers. They need love too. Get a drink real quick. It's worth noting, too, that even though this wasn't an area that I worked on too much, there would be a lot more like valves and pipes and levers and crazy things like that back here with this cylinder. In fact, if I remember correctly, this cylinder is on the other end, opposite of where the wheel for the handbrake is. I could be wrong about that, though. I've been out of the military for 4 years. I was in the military for 4 years. Actually, I'm going on 5 years of being out. It's like 4.5 now. So that's going on 9 years since I last touched a train car. So yeah. With going on the better part of a decade since I've last worked on a train car, don't quote me on the specifics of where the components are, because my memory's not that good. Although it is about some very random things. But I feel like I specifically remember putting... Because down on this end of the car, specifically under here by the trucks, this is where I shot a piece of welding wire into my arm. That's a fun story. Okay, bad example. Not on this car, on this car. Because the brake wheel and platform are on this end, I was working on this end when I was up underneath there, tack welding a little piece of bar stock that just connects the wall to the frame. So I would just do like this little 2-3 inch bead on the top and bottom of the little piece of bar stock. And then I would grab onto the underside of the frame, kind of like sling myself under it. Well, I had the MIG gun in my right hand, and when I went to sling myself under the car, I brushed the cherry ball of the welding torque on the tip of the MIG gun, and it burned clean through my leather welding jacket and put like a 5-6 millimeter perfectly round hole in my arm. And then I immediately like flinched, like, damn, that hurt. And I was like, whatever, I'll deal with that later. I start walking back to the other end of the train car. It's like I start walking back because they're about to pull, because my part of that job is done. So I'm going to the next car that I'm about to work on, where I just go put the piece of bar stock in there, so that when they pull the line and it gets back to the position that I was working in, I can go back under and weld it in place. And then as I'm walking back, it's in the middle of winter when this happened, mind you. I'm walking back to the next car, and then all of a sudden I start feeling like moisture, like something's wet on my arm. And then my first reaction is, oh great, I'm bleeding. But not like panic, like this is an emergency, I'm bleeding. More like I can't deal with this inconvenience right now, frustration. It's like, damn it, I'm bleeding. So I unbutton my welding jacket, take it off, and then I'm looking at my long sleeve shirt, and I'm seeing like red spots on the sleeve of my button-up shirt. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. So I unbutton my sleeve, and I'm rolling up the sleeve of my shirt, and that's when I find, the area manager for the building I was in walks over, and he sees me rolling up the sleeve of my shirt, and this gets his attention, so he walks over and he's trying to see what the hell's going on. And I look at him and I'm like, can I get a Band-Aid? And he sees the spot on my arm, and he's like, nah, we're taking you to the clinic. Which, that is what you're supposed to do. That's actually a OSHA reportable safety incident. When I actually left the company, when I joined the military, I was going down the list at the outside of the administrative building, looking at the safety things that had happened, and it was like a checklist, like, done that. That was me. Done that. I was not in the right frame of mind when I worked for that company. But that's another thing entirely. Oh. And the funny thing is, though, when I got to the occupational health clinic for the burn on my arm, the doctor that was there, he took one look at it and he was like, well, the good news is it pretty much cauterized itself, so there's like almost no risk of infection. So put a band-aid on it and maybe add ice to keep the swelling down, but there's nothing I can do. It's just on the list of like the dumb things I've seen. Then I can talk about the time I set or the times plural that I've set myself on fire. Those are always the fun stories to tell at parties. I say that like I go to parties, but let's not worry about that part. Yeah, I've had some crazy experiences as a welder. Had a handful of crazy experiences as a truck driver. And I can probably tell those stories a little bit easier because they're more fresh in my memory. And then I have even more absurd stuff from being in the Marine Corps. And basically my life is a series of crazy stories that I sometimes tell people when they ask, or sometimes even if they don't. We'll just be talking about something tangentially related, and I'll just go off and start talking about something crazy I seen or did at some point. Always makes for a fun time. Alright. So... Alright, so we got our car out of the way. Now we can finally go back and get the flat cars. Alright. It'll slow down. Or maybe it won't. Alright, let's try and see if that will help. Alright, knock it down with the independent brake. Alright. Now we're definitely going slow enough that we're not going to break this car. I don't know why this just seems weird. Like, why is the car sitting lower on the rails? Oh. No. Alright, go back here, make sure the air is open, or make sure the air is being pumped through. Good. Alright, so we are finally all hooked up and ready to get out of here. What's going to be interesting is how we are going to get these 3 cars into the A lot. Yeah, it's it's going to be interesting because in order to get into the A6S parking space, I need to be on this end. So I don't know. That one's going to be weird. We're going to have to figure that out. Alright, well, the next thing that we have to deal with is we got to get up to the front of the train. Put this away. Alright. Oh, it's going uphill. Alright. This is not going to be easy. Now, what I might be able to do is I might be able to pull the entire train onto the inbound track, or I might even be able to just pull it through on the main and then run a wrapper. Alright, so we're gonna come out here. We're gonna need to flip this switch, and then we gotta flip this switch. Because the A track is accessible from this end, what I can probably do is I can drop the empties back here by the tutorial hut, this thing right here. And then see if I can pull everything into the inbound track, or into either the main track, or if the inbound track is empty. If it will fit in the inbound track, I can drop off the long train there, and then I'll pull forward out of the inbound track, go onto the main, run around to the back side of the train, hook up to the 3 cars at the very back, and push them into the A track. that's currently seeming like the best possible option. It's gonna be weird. Oh boy. We're gonna be in trouble if we aren't able to pull out of here. We're not even halfway up this track yet. The only alternative is to set the brakes, run back and grab the 282 back there and pull that up here. Because if these two DE6s cannot pull this out of here, we're going to have a problem. But luckily, we appear to be making progress, and we're accelerating against all odds. But I guess the saying is that diesel can start what steam can't, and steam can pull what diesel can't. I just don't want to go through the process of having to bring the steamer with me. It does not seem like a good time. Hoping the inbound track is open at the steel mill. So I can either park the crane in it or run around the crane through it. Those are seeming like my only options at the moment. It is a rough climb coming out of the coal mine. I may need to refuel these locomotives when I get to the steel mill. That is an interesting rock formation. It's not a rock formation, it's a glitch. Alright. Now we gotta grab our remote. Turn this on. And apparently, according to someone that I was talking to last time, you want to jump off from the engineer's side whenever possible. Alright, let's apply some brakes. Oh boy, something's freaking out. Hello. Hello. Alright, and thank you for the follow. Alright, so I had to jump off the train because I want to flip this switch so that it's still aligned with the main, because more than likely the next time I come up this way, I'm going to be coming back from the military base just like last time. And not from the coal mine. Because while going to the coal mine was an interesting journey for my last stream, I don't think I've been up there since the Overhauled update was released. So I don't imagine I'm going to go back up there next time. How many cars did I bring? Alright, perfect. Okay. Let's go up here. I don't think I can stand on that. Alright, if I grab this... Let's just get my map up here. Alright, we gotta go right here. Because the alternative is gonna be, would not be a good idea. Basically, if I go that way, it's going to take me all the way back to the harbor. And then I would have to go up to the steel mill. Which, in theory, I could do that. But why? Okay, I need to be over here. Is now I need to flip this switch back to going left. All right. Clearly, this was a much longer train than I realized. Alright. Clear the switch. Okay. Yeah, I generally prefer to play this in VR. I like it a lot better than the flat version. No, actually, I do not run with mods. This is entirely just the base game as it shipped. Alright. Okay, I need my map. Alright, it's gonna be a while. Hit the horn just because. Alright, everything's saying I can go 80, but we're not going. No, that's weird. But then again, I shouldn't be surprised by it, considering the fact that I had to sign into my own chat through the Streamlabs app. Another thing entirely. Let me get a drink real quick. Actually, let me make sure I don't derail first. Then I can get a drink. Because the last thing I need is to hear that freaking pain telling me something flew off the rails. As much fun as that might be. Alright, and the tunnel's freaking out. Okay, if I go over here... No, I won't bother. Okay, let's check on the map again. So yeah, I prefer playing it in VR because back when they first released the 2D like flat version, I just didn't like how it ended up working. Like they hadn't streamlined the controls yet. It was still kind of a mess. So I pretty much played it for like 5 minutes, and then I just spent the rest of the time just in VR. And then they made the controls better in the flat mode so that you can roll your mouse wheel to so you could roll the mouse wheel to move the levers, open doors, and stuff like that. And apparently that made everything, like, infinitely better. But I was still, like, dead set on playing it in VR. So I can feel like I'm actually in what looks like a locomotive. As long as you don't look too hard, you won't see some of the things that are different between this one and a real one. And then with all of like the UI additions and stuff like that coming with the simulator update, it honestly looks comparable to how you would normally play like Train Sim World. So while that's a cool idea, I kind of like this one because it's not Train Sim World. In fact, I like this one more, even though I still play Train Sim World, but that's another thing entirely. Alright, let's look at the map. Alright, we're coming up on the next place that I'm gonna have to realign the switch because it'll be going to the military, or it'll be the way that I go up to the military base. I generally don't use this section of track. Because the way that I prefer to play the game, I always want to back into the industries so that I can just pull out when I go to leave. And this intersection is only one way, so the best way up is to go this way, go up around here, go past the entrance to the military base, and then back into it. Whereas if I took this loop, I would go nose first into the military base, and that's just a bad idea, in my opinion. Because then you get stuck, because the bunker is a dead end. There's, like, the 3 tracks that are in there are not connected. You can't run past or run around anything in there. There's just not enough space. Okay, let's grab my remote again, turn this on. Phase through reality real quick. Knock off the train brake. Of course, it's on that side. Alright. Alright. So yeah, I would prefer to go that way than up through this loop. It's probably longer to go that way, but it allows me to back into the military base instead of trying to pull in. Which, even though it has a turntable, I would prefer not to use it. Still crazy how many flat cars I brought on this adventure. Although the cool thing is the flat cars show a pretty good example of the things that I was working on in the factory. Like when I had just started out, these brackets that hold up the guiding rods for the brake pipe and the levers to activate the brakes. That was the first part of the train that I worked on. Because basically that's like the least sensitive area, and if you don't have a lot of experience, that's where they can put you so you won't mess anything up. Then when you've got a little bit more time in, you know a little bit more about what you're doing, they can put you in more stuff, in more places. Alright. Alright, let's put that away. And go up here. Alright, now what's going to get interesting is when I get to the steel. Figure out how I'm going to get on the other end of the train to push the back 3 coal cars into the line. Because they're going to an inbound track in the A lot. which there's only one way into the A-lot. And they're not joined on the other end, so I gotta get around to the back and pull the last 3 cars off from the other end. It's gonna be a mess. Alright, so now, in theory, the only other switch that's going to potentially pose a problem is this switch on the southern end of the junction. But I'm pretty sure I already manually flipped that switch. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's keep the brakes applied. Another thing that's going to be exciting about the simulator update is the more realistic air brake simulation. Because these kinda behave like, or at least like when you're parked, they kinda behave like the spring brakes in a truck, whereas trains don't have spring brakes. The locomotive might, but that's a very isolated case. And it's certainly not common if they do have them. But now, if you let all of the air out of the train cars when you get to the station, you dump them off, they'll just stay locked in place. Whereas once you let all of the air out, they don't have brakes anymore and they can freely move. Which is why they're adding the handbrakes. But it makes it particularly hard to kick cars, because if you're moving and you break the connection with the air hose, you've got until it runs out of air, until it's just going to come to a complete stop. And that's just not how it's supposed to work. But it sounds like with the more realistic behavior and mechanics, it seems as though it'll be easier to kick cars. The good news is, this part should be mostly downhill. Alright, let me double check to make sure all that's still working like it's supposed to. Yeah. Okay, microphone's still responding. I can still hear the background music. All's right in the world. I've been having some weird issues the last week or so with my stream, so I have to have like this paranoid thing where I gotta double check to make sure that I'm still live, my microphone hasn't frozen. It's been weird. I do not have the best setup to stream, and I chose to stream in VR as the way that I'm getting back into it. VR by itself is hard enough for my computer, and now you want to add on the network load of live streaming. Yeah, it's just weird. But the last time that I attempted to stream was back in 2019, and then I abruptly stopped streaming before the summer came around. But I had set everything up that I was going to try streaming Derail Valley. I just never got around to it. And now that since I started streaming again, I decided I'm gonna pick up where I left. I'm gonna pick up where I planned on starting by streaming Derail Valley. And it's still by no means, or it's not at all, a popular category on Twitch, yet somehow I've been getting lucky and people have been watching. And then I want to say there might be maybe 10 channels tops that are actively streaming Derail Valley. And it's getting to the point where when you look at the videos on Twitch, you're starting to see my thumbnails as a bulk of them. Yet I keep playing it, even though it's not a popular category. I still get people watching, people talking. It's crazy. And then when I export it over to YouTube, that's where, or those are the videos that people are watching. So clearly there's a market for it. So I'm just gonna tap into that market, I guess. Alright, so the next waypoint that I need to be conscious of is going to be just past the tutorial building. Because I need to park my flat cars outside of the steel mill. So that I can... I need to park the flat cars outside of the steel mill so I can run around the train and get to the back side of my coal cars. It's going to be a weird mess of convoluted switching operations at the steel mill. Because I organized this train based on weight. So the coal is going to the steel mill, but the flat cars are going to the harbor. And it's just going to be wild. Alright, let's knock back the throttle completely. This should be mostly downhill. Now, once you get past this corner, you can speed up and start going a little bit faster, but I prefer not to risk destroying the train. Which, oddly enough, even at about 150 hours playing this game, only 150 hours, I only recently got back into it because I decided I wanted to go work for the railroad in real life. So I've been religiously playing this and Train Sim World to kind of get like a feel for what does the job look like. I know very well that the games are totally different from doing it in real life, but nevertheless, that hasn't stopped me from practice how you play, if you will. So I played Derail Valley very slow and deliberately, as if it had the same fail criteria that Train Sim World has, even though it definitely doesn't. Like Train Sim World, if you blow past a glitched out signal that turned red incorrectly, you failed. I hope you saved beforehand. Whereas Derail Valley, it's called Derail Valley. I think they expect you to break stuff and derail a lot. Yet, in about 150 hours, I have not had too many, derailments. The biggest things I've had go wrong are when, shortly after the Overhauled update came out, I hadn't even gotten the license for the DE6 yet. And I came into the goods factory. It has the repair shed that you can't get fuel at. It's just a repair shed. Well, I came in hot, slammed the DE2 into the buffer, and shattered the windshield. I only got it down to 70% health, but nevertheless, I still hit it pretty hard. And that's the biggest thing that I've broken. Now, that being said, I have had random glitched out string line derailments where the cars just popped off the tracks through literally no fault of mine. And then I've had these weird occurrences where the track itself just destroys the car and cargo at random. I've had those things happen, and they get rather costly and hard to fix, but those weren't my fault. That was the game trying to sabotage me. Like the one that I was talking about where the two cars just randomly popped off the tracks, it was at the harbor going out by the D track. And going out that way, you'll know that the speed limit signs say you can do 50 kilometers an hour through the yard. So you might be wondering, well, how fast was I going? 18 kilometers an hour caused a string line derailment that obliterated two cars. Now, you might be thinking, well, if you obliterated two cars going 18 kilometers an hour, was there another factor? Was it a mixed train? Was the load misbalanced? No, it wasn't. It was literally the last section of cars that were all empty intermodal containers being taken back to the harbor. So all 10 cars or whatever were exactly the same weight. It just two right in the middle just blew up. Down to 40% health on one of them. Craziest thing I've seen yet. Well, that is until last week, I want to say. Yeah, I was over in City Southwest, and I was backing up another load of intermodal containers. I seem to love breaking those, apparently. Another load of intermodal containers backing up into City Southwest. Right here on the north side of the town, there's this Y junction. Well, one of the switches in there, I was just backing up, and then my remote beeped at me to let me know that something was in coupling range. Now, that's a little bit bizarre in and of itself, because what could possibly be in coupling range? I haven't reached the rest of the yard, and the train is already coupled. So I had to force through it. It beeped again, telling me that something was in coupling range. So I hit the button, coupled it. It's coupled something. It's coupled something. Still don't know what, but coupled something. But I was getting stopped on the tracks, and I had to throttle up to notch 5 or 6. It's crazy, right? And then it started moving, then it beeped again, telling me to couple something. I hit the button, it coupled something, then it did it again. Then I finally got it backed up into its final parking spot. And no. Well, that's a problem. But yeah, I finally got it backed up. Went and turned in the job. Didn't get the time bonus. But I don't get time bonuses. And refueled my locomotives, went back to find out what happened. Or I went to pay the environmental fees. So I'm in the station office, and I'm at the terminal paying the fees. And I think everything is fine, but then I have this random $50,000 fee for breaking the cars on my last freight job. Well, that's kind of weird. I don't remember breaking anything. So, pay the fee, and I go back and I look to see what the hell happened, and one of the cars is completely destroyed. Not even kidding. It's on 0 health. Or no, the car was on 40% health. The cargo itself was on 0. And then the car in front of it was kind of 50-50, both the car and the cargo. Basically just whatever can go wrong will. It's one of those deals. Alright. Hit the horn for good luck, because apparently this is steep. And this coal train is heavy. I think I can safely get a drink now. Alright. This is a mess. But let's keep this party going. It's also worth noting that I could have sworn the tutorial used to have like the consoles that you could learn how to do repairs, or maybe that was before the Overhauled update. I don't know. But the bottom line is they're not there anymore. Nor is the DE2. Alright, at some point we're going to start getting wheel slip. Oh, we are going to run these things out of diesel. I don't think I've used sand for like a long time. Alright, we need to be well clear of the switches. So probably here is where I'm gonna try and uncouple the flat cars, so that I'm still within range of the steel mill, so I don't cause any problems with like it despawning or anything like that. As long as we've got the coal cars past the steep part, we should be good. In theory. Alright. This is gonna be a crazy job. Alright, let's hit the brakes now. Hit the train brake. Fully apply the independent. Back off the train brake. Let it build up pressure. And we go back here. Okay. It'll be useful when we finally have the hand brakes, so I can manually tie in some brakes so these will stay in place. So since we don't have that, we've got to use our imaginary spring brakes. It's like the dumbest thing, but it's whatever. Alright. Now, alright, best bet. We're gonna park the whole train on the main line. And then we're going to run through the inbound track to disconnect from the... it's like to disconnect the back 3 cars that need to go into A6. Because we're already past the switch to pull through the inbound track, so we're just going to have to deal with those last. So we're going to have to deal with those next. It's going to be a process. Alright, so bringing down coal from the mine is heavy. And then, realistically, I could check to see if there's anything else going to the harbor. And then I can bring those with me, too. Good news. There is. $24,000, 15,500. All right. So that is an option. All right, now the bottom line is I have to make sure that these 3 cars back here on the end are clear of this switch right here. Yeah, alright. Still set for the runaround. But we don't want to sideswipe the cars, so we need to go a little bit farther. Yeah, pretty much right there, and anywhere past that point. Alright, let's release that. And we can only hope that our locomotives are not all the way through the track so we can still access the runaround. Otherwise, we're going to have a bad time. Alright, put that over there, turn this off. To kind of make sure they don't move on me. Alright, now we go up here. And we gotta cut off this right here. Alright. Go over here. And we gotta go past this switch now. All right. Making progress. Sort of. Okay, correction, we need this switch. Now, as we've said time and time again, I'm currently fouling the main line, but I'm literally the only one working here. Don't do this in real life. You'll make a lot of people very angry. Alright, and this is the long one. So this one I think is going to the harbor. So we'll decide if I want to deal with that right now. Because once we dump off these, the only thing that's going to be left is the logistics mission. So we can just tack on more flat cars, but this time loaded flat cars. All right. Now, really, what I could do is once I get back hooked up to, it's like once I'm back, or once I have these 3 cars over in A, I could go over to the service shed and refuel my diesels. Because they've gotten a bit of a workout today. Alright. Last truck is past the switch, sort of. And then we got the hard part. Or really, we gotta do this again. We gotta run around it again, get back on the other end, pull forward and back up onto the inbound track. Basically, this whole thing's gonna be a mess from start to finish. 100 over 100. Yeah, 67. 584, 634, and 053. Alright. Now, this is where we need to make sure that we're back far enough away from those cars to get onto this switch. Which I'm hoping I didn't bring them too close. Because the other option that I could do, instead of running around the train, it would be a very convoluted mess, but what I could do is just go forward, hook up to the back of those, pull them out, hook up to the front of those down there. It's like hook up to the front of those. back up, pull those out, and then push them onto B3I. In theory, that could work. But it's gonna suck either way. Yeah, I may have gotten myself into a bit of a pickle. And we'll figure it out. Alright, that's 7. So 6 should be this way. And that's 6. Yeah, A6I. Yeah, because no matter how you slice it, I'm gonna end up in a bad situation either way. If I keep the locomotives in the middle and then hook up to the back of those and the front of those, I risk pulling this load too far that way, and I have to push them up the hill. But if I do it the other way, and I run around the train again, I'm going to pull it up that hill on the other end. Basically, both ends of the steel mill, it's kind of like a bowl. I'm going uphill both ways. So it's going to suck no matter how we slice it. The question is, which way is going to suck less? And I do not have the answer. And we gotta push it a little bit further, because I think that sign's too close. But as long as we're not close to that end, we should be good. Yeah, if anyone's new to my channel, you'll know that this specific thing is a never-ending battle for me. You literally watched me couple this to that. But it didn't make it 5 minutes to get back into position before it reversed the coupler. Schrodinger's coupler knuckle is like my ongoing inside joke that only I get. $9,500. Not even enough to refuel the train. But luckily, at this point in the game, the money isn't real. I mean, the money never was real, but having all of the licenses and playing it as cautiously as humanly possible, I'm not breaking anything. So I can occasionally just eat the cost of spawning my caboose, clearing a caboose, clearing a locomotive. Little stupid stuff like that that doesn't particularly matter. Alright, now I do know that both DE6s will fit in the repair shed. It's weird that they both fit in there, but they do. And basically it's just kind of weird, but since the terminals are closest to the door, you can push the front one all the way to the back. Almost to the buffer, and you can refuel the second one. Well, I guess that's some good news. There's another DE6 if we need it. We don't even have any cars at the moment. We're already going backwards and we're supposed to be going forward. But that is getting fixed with Simulator. The switches will not be doing that anymore. But for now, it's just like the weirdest, most inconvenient thing possible. Going to be a tight fit, but it will work. Okay. Turn this off, kill the engine. Kill the power. Oh, we used a lot of fuel. And $9,000 does not fill it. But at almost 1.8 million, money is not an issue. Where did the... Whatever, not important. Alright. Now we stand over here. And the bell will ring before this touches that. There it is. Okay, now we turn off this one. Alright, we refuel this one. So yeah, money is not an issue when you have all the licenses. And you intentionally try not to break anything. Okay. Now let's run over to the station, pay the environmental fees, and then I'm guessing what I'm gonna do is back up, hook up to the flat cars, pull forward, hook up to these, and then back up and push the coal cars into 3I. That seems like the move. So let's make it happen. $730. All right. Oh, I gotta get rid of the papers. I don't need to carry them with me. Alright, let's back up. Well, we've definitely proven that 2 DE6s can haul a lot of things. Alright, flip that up. Start the engine. Oh yeah, let's look at this. It's currently back to the front. That reversed too. It's a never-ending battle. It is simultaneously coupled both ways, and it just picks away when you look at it. It is in a perpetual, like, quantum superposition. Alright, so I'm just hoping that by keeping the coal cars closer to the steel mill, maybe it won't be so hard to push them up the hill. Maybe. Alright, let me get a drink real quick. It's probably going to be like another hour until I'm back in the steel mill. Or not back in the steel mill, until I'm back in the harbor. Alright. Oh, come on. You can do it. Given how short this battery lasts, it makes me worry about the flashlight that's coming, because it's going to have a solar battery just like this. So I don't think it's going to last very long. And now it's going to take off like a rocket. Alright. So we gotta take this all the way back to the flat cars and hook up to those. Then we gotta go all the way forward, hook up to the coal cars again, pull them back, and push them into the inbound track. Then back up the flat cars to get back onto the main track. Then if I'm really feeling dedicated to the cause, I can go pick up that freight mission going to the harbor, drop the flat cars on the main track where the coal cars are sitting right now, and pull forward back up onto the outbound track that's set to go to the harbor, or with the load going to the harbor, hook up to those, pull forward, back up, hook up to the forgot what the plan was. And then hook up to the flat cars and then go on about my day. Alright, we need you to slow down. So you need to chill. Because we still have the heavy part to deal with. Alright, slow it down. And we're good. Alright. Now, we go forward. Except luckily for this set, we don't have to get back to this switch. We only have to get them clear of that first switch on the left. So it's not as bad. And we've got a pretty good stretch of track that's mostly flat. So this might actually work. And we might be able to do it without any problems. Alright, I need this job. And it is 12 cars. That's FH2. Which one's going to the harbor? Am I feeling that motivated? I mean, that is the better paying one. Yeah, the truth is, I just don't know if I want to deal with it. If I'm being completely honest. We're now passing the 2-hour mark. And this is normally where I would want to stop. So what I could do to kind of like mix it up a little bit, instead of finishing the logistics delivery today, what I can do is hook up to these, back them up, push them onto the inbound track where they're supposed to go, back up again, pull forward onto the main track, stop right here, and then I could end my stream, and then pick up with getting both cuts of rails and the flat cars all back to the harbor. Just as a thought. And then that could be next stream's fun adventure. Alright, now we gotta get all 12 coal cars past this switch. And this is easily the weirdest possible way to do this. Like the one time in one of the scenarios in Train Sim World, they had you do something like this on the sand patch grade. And even the AI voice that's walking you through what the scenario is just like, you're gonna have to trust me on this one, but it's gonna make sense when we get moving. But that doesn't stop it from being weird. You literally just watched me connect the coal car to the locomotive, yet the locomotive is now connected to the coal car. I just can't win. I can only imagine what this mess does to the weight distribution. Alright, you just gotta hold on for 3 more car lengths. And then we're golden. Alright, let's apply some train brake. Come on, just make it. Oh, we're good. Alright, now hopefully we didn't roll too far, and we can get moving. Okay, good. Alright, so at least that's going in our favor. Now we just need to get the first coal car, or the back coal car, past this sign. We're going to need to go a little faster than that, though. It's still going to be a battle to push these in here. Alright, let me get it real quick. Making progress. Alright, let's see if we can keep it between the lines. This has been an eventful stream. Yeah, I generally try to aim for like 2 hours. It's like the amount of time that just works for me. Alright, let's apply some train brake. Apply that. Go back here, make sure we're nowhere near the line. Teleport too far. Alright, So go back here, unhook this. See, the game is literally trying to make me feel like I'm going insane. I just looked at it and commented on it, and then I come back here, and magically, it's back the other way again. The game makes you feel like you're going crazy. Alright, let's go in here, pay for this, or get this paid out. And it was supposed to take 28 minutes, it took 124 minutes. But the good news is, we made approximately, or just under, $40,000, so we're doing fine. Even with fueling costs, we made a profit. And somehow, because it's going farther, I think the logistics mission is going to pay more anyway. Actually, I can check that. Oh god, no. It's not paying better. Not even close. You gotta love how there's like 4, maybe 5 feet past the sign is where the switch actually ends. Alright, so what we're gonna do is pull these into the main line, and then we're going to stop down here somewhere. Probably like here might be good. Maybe a little farther than that. We'll disconnect from the flat cars, and we'll be positioned in such a way that we can easily pick up the other loads that are going to the harbor. Because it might actually be both of these could be going to the harbor. I know this one is. Let's see, what kind of track is this one? This one might be as well. Yeah, basically just making sure you got everything going where it's supposed to go. It's an interesting process. Alright, we stop it right there. Probably use the train brake, not the independent, but it's whatever. It's over and done with now. See, it's just messing with me at this point. Alright, put that away. This off, turn that off, turn this off, go up here, Off. 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 Run over and pay the environmental fees. Even with manually servicing, we still managed to make a profit. Alright, so for next time, what we can do... goods factory... Alright, 2 and 67. Not even gonna mess with that. Alright, I know where 2 is. Which one's 67? This isn't rails. Oh, yep, 2 and 67. So this one and that one. So they are both going to the harbor. So that will be next stream's adventure. So just as a bit of a recap, I brought the coal down from the coal mine to the steel mill. And then I also brought this cut of empty flat cars, also from the coal mine, but they're going to the harbor. Had a little bit of a fun time getting here, as the basically I just had to make sure that my switches were aligned to go the way that I want to go next time instead of the way that I was coming from, so I had to lag back behind my train for a little while to flip the switches to keep them aligned to go the right way. Then got into some trouble where I had to push the locomotives pretty hard to get up the hill to get into here. Then I had to do a crazy runaround maneuver where I had to go through, get to the other end of the last 3 cars because they had to go over there. Then we had to get hooked up to these, push up, get hooked up to those, pull back, shove them into the inbound track, then pull forward and get to where we are now, so we're in the proper position to pick up the next couple of loads for the next time that I stream Derail Valley. Could be tomorrow, could be Friday. I don't know at this point. I kind of just make this up as I go. The only things I actually put on my stream schedule was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but I would like to do Tuesday and Thursday if I can as well. And then I also sometimes do Saturday and Sunday. So I tried to set up a schedule so that there's something consistent so that people can follow what I'm trying to do. And I'm mostly sticking to that schedule. It's just I also throw in a few random unscheduled things that it's just like on a when I feel like it sort of basis. Oh, and my controllers are going to die anyway. So let me rewind my pocket watch that I'm using as a stopwatch. So anyway, this is as good of a stopping point as any. This has been Derail Valley. Thank you all for watching, and have a nice day.